Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. What we do around here is bring about conversations of a psychological, mental health, emotional health paradigm. We do that on a regular basis, usually several times per week. And this is a sign of things that can cause you to go into depression without even meaning to. And so, if you are struggling with depression or other mental and emotional health challenges, certainly building a team of people, including coaching and therapists and other healthcare professionals, can be a super valuable way to get through life. Sometimes our mind can play tricks on us, and that's never a good thing. But when you focus on recovery, it's a multifaceted, multi pronged approach that often leads to the best of results in the quickest and most effective and efficient time frame. So please feel free to reach out at PO Perception on Twitter and or in the About Me section of this YouTube page if there is something I can do to be of assistance in that way. A couple of things to consider. People that are putting themselves into a depressive state are going to focus more on problems than solutions. The focusing on problems is a knee-jerk reaction because the levels of dopamine, serotonin, and other um, appropriate hormones are not being secreted in the brain, thereby creating a belief that things cannot change or will not change or nothing ever changes. That misnomer then leads to feelings of separation, anxiety, frustration, doubt, and doubting your own judgment, thus leading to struggle and stress points, not limited to the fact of potentially feeling levels of isolation, levels of angst, anger, frustration, all points in between. This then leads to people feeling like they don't have a choice in how they proceed, and then the powerlessness causes people to feel even more out of balance. So, next thing to consider is the possibility of, um, you know, monitoring your mood too much or feeling like your mood's out of balance, feeling like you don't feel happy enough or that you're always sad or you're too sad or this is the worst thing ever. So when we monitor our mood too much because the mood fluctuates as is intended to do, but the fluctuation of the mood can often be problematic for a number of reasons, not limited to the fact that at the end of the day, when the mood fluctuates, it's usually because a person doesn't feel they have any control left in their day to day life, and the lack of control ultimately leads to continuation of frustration, continuation of doubt, and ultimately leading us to a place that isn't in the best of situations. So, when we begin to understand that we have a certain level of responsibility, but also we have a certain level of struggle as it relates to things, ultimately that becomes super problematic for a number of reasons. And when we know that ultimately things are, um, keeping us off balance or whatever have you, that can be um, a big time struggle and challenge as it relates to kind of moving forward in the future. And so when we begin to understand the value of how to identify ways at which we can get to a more meaningful and more masterful way of interpreting and approaching how to handle things, then we're less likely to allow our minds to trip us up and trick us into negativity. Focusing on shortcomings can be another major problem. If you're constantly focusing on the things you don't do well, or things you can't do, or things you lack, then your belief in yourself to be able to solve problems and also to cope with the things that you lack becomes even more problematic than before. The feeling of hopelessness associated with the lack of things changing is another key facet to being able to understand how to move forward. And so, finding hope in something, whether it's something like religion, something like what you believe in, something like what matters to you most, or any other point in between, is also another factor in how to move forward and where to move forward to and from. And so that becomes super um, challenging and often problematic if we don't know how to find those ways. And at the end of the day, finding that mastery is different for every person. Don't compare yourself with others if you can help it, because the self comparison ultimately leads further down the road to depression. Hopefully, this is helpful. Keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.